Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Today's video will be different and I will use, how should I put it, ancient methods in order to do what I really want to do, which is discuss a video of Foreign Minister of India, Jaishankar. Now, Dr. Jaishankar was interviewed about seven days by an Weasel Austrian interviewer on his program. Now, I suspect that this Weasel Austrian is the one who interviewed Putin at one point about 5 years ago, where Putin just lost it and said, "You keep interrupting me. It's unbelievable. You don't want to hear my answer. You interrupt me." And he even spoke in German with the guy, with the Austrian. He said, "For God's sake, would you let me talk?" This is how Putin got to that point, because the guy was interrupting. He was a rude individual. He would not do that with, obviously, any other weasel from the Western countries. But anyway, I picked this video to give you a direct example of how Jaishankar, which I admire, puts this guy in his place, just like that. That's why I like Jaishankar. He's an intelligent guy, witty, quick, and courageous. Now, what do? I have here a little iPad, and I have the video here. And I will have a loud speaker, and I will have my microphone. And I will try to listen with you to this, because, you know, I know how it should be. Should be an image over there like that, okay? And me talking. But I'm, as of now, it seems like I'm technologically challenged, and I can't, I'm still working on figuring it out, okay? Now, so bear with me. So this is an interview between, this is the Jaishankar, and the other guy is the Weasel Austrian. Let's see if the sound is gonna be all right. It starts from minute, I will upload this in the description below, starts at minute 2:11 and is going until minute 9:45, the whole thing. It's a lot of topics, and I will discuss them as Jaishankar smacks this weasel over his beak. Okay, let's start and see if it's okay.
Taking your time. In 2022, about 18,000
okay. So I'm going to go straight to minute
it's good.
minute 11.
We work it out with
minute 2:11, and then discuss from 2:11, when this guy is going to ask Jaishankar a question.
There are other people whose jobs it is to do that.
All right, this is a question.
Let's talk about the war in Ukraine. As you are well aware, the whole world noticed that India, as a very influential country, has never publicly condemned Russia's assault and invasion into a neighboring country. Why is that so? Can you really be neutral in a war for which obviously one side bears all responsibility?
Well, look, I think in international relations, you have sometimes very complicated situations. And where we are concerned, we have always taken the position that the way out is for the countries concerned to get back to dialogue and to diplomacy.
I'll come to that, but is this a complicated situation? Is this really complicated?
So he interrupted Jaishankar because Jaishankar was not giving the answer the Weasel wanted. The Weasel started from the premises that it's well known and understood by the whole world that Ukraine is the victim, Russia is the aggressor, and everyone should think that way. Whoever thinks differently is a problem. And that's exactly how this Weasel asked the question. Since we know that Ukraine is the victim here, unprovoked attack by the aggressor country, Russia, how can you be so bad and stay to the side and not condemn it, basically? And this guy says, you know what, things are not like that. I don't subscribe to your worldview. Things are more complicated than that. And this guy says, what do you mean? He tries to make Jaishankar say, well, actually Russia is not like you say, but he's smarter than that. And he goes around and he tells whatever he wants to tell this Weasel. Listen to Jaishankar's answer.
One big country invading its neighbor.
Look, I can give you many instances of countries who have violated the sovereignty of another country. You know, if I were to ask where Europe stood on a lot of those, I'm afraid I'll get a long silence.
Do you see? So he turned the table on the Weasel. He said, well, you talk about it. If I were to say what Europe did when other countries invaded other countries, we can't say who, but we know exactly who he referred to. Why was Europe? What did Europe say and do about it? Nothing. It's going to be silence. So don't lecture us, basically. Intelligent? Intelligent.
So do understand one thing. At the end of the day, we make judgments in foreign policy based on what we think are our long-term interests and what is good for the world.
I forgot to tell you, when the Weasel asks Jaishankar the first question, when saying that, hey, Russia, how can you stay neutral? You should, if you watch it, you should look at Jaishankar's body language. His hands are shaking. So he's staying, and the video is from here. Jaishankar hands are like this, the guy is over there, talks like this, and then Jaishankar does with the hand something like this, put them on the table, and then he immediately does like this, like Putin does with his table, keeps them together so it doesn't, don't show anything. Just watch that body language. Another body language will be when Jaishankar gives an answer, I will point that out to you, that the Weasel doesn't like. The Weasel will be like, because the Weasel is going to be the same way, close like this, and look and be like, close like, oh shit, what the hell was that? He didn't like the answer. Just look at the body language. I always do.
But you and Prime Minister Modi have already said that regularly call on both sides to stop the war and to negotiate. However, can one really urge Ukraine to stop defending itself after...
So see, he makes, well, you and Modi said that both should stop, but hey, these guys are attacking these guys, can you ask them to stop defending themselves? And again, he's not going to go into the trap. Yeah, you can.
Well, there are no Ukrainian tanks in Russia. There are Russian tanks and planes and missiles destroying Ukraine.
I think that's a bit of a misrepresentation. I think what we do is to say, get back to dialogue and diplomacy. There was dialogue and diplomacy in the early days of the conflict. So it's not that it didn't happen.
In March.
So it's not for us to put conditions and to say this country is equal to that country. That's your judgment.
But should you urge Russia to stop the war?
I think we have been very clear that this conflict...
He said, it's not our judgment, that's yours. We don't make this kind of judgment. And say, well, shouldn't you put pressure on Russia?
Not in anybody's interest, including theirs.
But you wouldn't say it more explicitly.
I'm a diplomat. It is my job to conduct foreign policy which serves my national
interest
and which serves what I believe is a long-term pathway towards peace and dialogue.
He said, I'm a diplomat. So the Weasel is going to come back to that and attack Jaishankar. Hey, you said you're a diplomat. And Jaishankar is going to smack him over his beak when it's going to be about Pakistan. He said, yeah, I'm a diplomat, but I also tell the truth. Doesn't mean I don't have to tell the truth.
Let's talk about India's interests. India does not take part in Western sanctions against Russia, but has increased its imports from Russia 5 times since the war began. By this, are you not helping Moscow? Are you not financing Russia?
All this is to point the finger and lecture India, Austria. Okay? This guy looks at Jaishankar, Dr. Jaishankar, as a student, or in front of an audience where I am the judge, and I'm, or the prosecutor, and I'm pointing fingers at you. And Jaishankar is like, hey, mofo, who the hell do you think you're talking to? I'm smarter than you. I'm stronger than you. I come from India. I don't come from the moon. So take it easy. So again.
Europe imported in the same period 6 times the energy which India did. So
Europe decreased its imports a lot and dramatically since there was not a new multi.
So this guy says, well, you bought as well. He said, yeah, but Europe decreased. And he said, yeah, but if you talk about, he's going to say next, if you talk about a value, then you should stop. That's exactly what I said many times. If you have that virtue and value, why don't you stop right there? Why do you just wane away?
No, essentially, if it is a matter of principle, why didn't Europe cut on the first day? Why didn't we see on 25th of...
Why did we do that if it's a matter of principle? The same argument when I talk about that, I give you that little example of a rapist. You know, I mean, if rape is wrong, you see someone raping someone else, you intervene, you report, you do something. You don't just wait, oh, maybe I'm not going to report it because that rapist likes my kid and is going to show up tomorrow at my kid's birthday, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut until tomorrow, and only after tomorrow I'm going to report the rapist. So because my kid and the rapist, they like one another. You know what I mean? No. It's a principle, then you stick by it. Otherwise, it's no principle.
February, a complete cutoff of energy imports from Russia.
But
You can't,
like
no, essentially, if it is a matter of principle, why didn't Europe cut on the first day? Why didn't we see on 25th of February a complete cutoff of energy imports from Russia?
But
You can't say it's my principle, but by the way, I will do it by my timing.
Okay, but isn't it the difference between decreasing your imports but
Again.
still making sure that
Decreasing.
Europe is not freezing to death in the winter, or just increasing your imports by 5 times?
No.
No.
Europe,
Here, when he said no, this guy's like, that's another body language. That's a minute, what, 5:22.
has managed to
I'm gonna
now
go.
if at 60,000 euro position to pay a high price, European actions, the leadership.
Are you reluctant toward Moscow as well, because Russia is India's most important supplier of weapons and...
He attacks now the diplomatic historical relationship between India and Russia. Is are you reluctant to do that because you're friends with Russia? And Jaishankar smacks him again.
military equipment?
So I'm going to do it again.
I think it's a privilege they should extend to other political leaderships as well.
Are you reluctant toward Moscow as well, because Russia is India's most important supplier of weapons and military equipment?
And therefore,
Are you reluctant to criticize Moscow?
no, I think, look, we have a relationship with Moscow. We've had a long-term relationship with Moscow. I think it's important to look at that history of the relationship. It was a relationship built in a period when Western democracies used to arm a military dictatorship called Pakistan.
So when we were fighting Jaishankar claims, which was the military dictatorship in Pakistan, the democracies, were arming Pakistan, and Russia, Soviet Union, was helping us. So I think we owe them, or something like that. You talk again?
And deny India defensive weapons. So if we are talking about principles, let's talk a little bit of history out here. So how did the Indian exposure to Russia and previously to Soviet Union get built up? Because the Western democracies, for whatever reason, decided that their natural partner in our part of the world was a military dictatorship.
Natural.
Would you consider India an ally of...
The Weasel did not build anything. He was like, damn, my balls are hurting. This guy keeps kicking me.
Russia?
The Western democracies, for whatever reason, decided that their natural partner in our part of the world was a military dictatorship.
Would you consider India an ally of Russia?
No, I think India doesn't. We are an independent country. We do not define ourselves or perceive ourselves in alliance terms. That's very much a Western terminology.
Alliance.
It's not a term that we use.
Again, smack the guy. No, we don't talking about alliances. We're independent. We look at our opportunities. It's a Western thing. You guys do it with alliance. Beat that guy here, make another alliance there, beat those guys over there.
Before you said you're a diplomat, but several weeks ago you called Pakistan, your neighbor, the epicenter of terrorism.
But I did it again today without using the word Pakistan.
Yes. And,
Did you hear this guy? He dared him. He said, and he doubled over and said, double down. He said, you know what? I even call it today, if you really want to know. So I'm not ashamed at all of what I said. He said, well, but you said you're a diplomat, and see how Jaishankar answers.
This doesn't sound very diplomatic, does it?
No.
Personal
because
attack.
You're a diplomat doesn't mean you're untruthful.
Did you hear? Being diplomatic, it doesn't mean you're untruthful. The Weasel is like, shit, ow, another kick in my balls. So here you have, this is Jaishankar for you, my friends. This is Jaishankar.
I could use much harsher words than epicenter. So believe me, considering what has been happening to us, I think epicenter is a very diplomatic word, because this is a country which has attacked the Parliament of India some years ago.
The Weasel, the Austrian Weasel, will defend Pakistan I have about one more minute.
which attacked the city of Mumbai, which went after hotels and foreign tourists, which every day sends terrorists across the border.
But of
So
course,
sometimes when we
of
talk,
course not as a country.
well,
Not
if
as a
you
country.
control your sovereign space, which I believe they do, if the terrorist camps operate in broad daylight in cities with recruitment and financing, can you really tell me that the Pakistani state doesn't know what's going on? Especially if they're being trained in military level combat tactics. So, when we speak about judgments and principles, why don't I hear sharp European condemnation of these practices which have been going on for multiple decades?
Does the world have to become...
He stopped. He didn't say anything about it. Did you hear? Nothing. He didn't even build up on that. He had nothing to say. I will put this in the description below so you can listen to it. I'm going to upload it there. Now, this is how Jaishankar acts. He was asked these questions many times before. So he's got already the answers. He just, alters them a little bit, prepares them for the audience, for the Weasel here. But did you hear that? Don't lecture us. You are helping Pakistan instead of helping us. That's why it is. We don't place judgment. We consider them in terms of both of them should stop. It's not about alliances here, but you are not with us. You are with the military dictatorship. You tell us that we buy oil and gas from Russia. You bought as well. Well, we decreased. Well, that's not a principle. Principle, why don't you stop? Well, it's still not the same. No, it's not. It's a principle. So basically, Jaishankar smacked this guy like a ping pong ball. Bang, 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 bang. That's what he did with this guy. Now, that's why I like Jaishankar. Now, that is a foreign minister. Not Baerbock, not Liz Truss, not Blinken. Those are not foreign ministers. Wang Yi of China left. He was the same way. And Lavrov is a smart guy again and very diplomatic. And he said, I could have used other words, but I think that's very epicenter is it's a very diplomatic word. And he said to be diplomatic doesn't mean to be untruthful. A+ for this little performance. It's 15 minutes, the whole video, but the rest is within China, and the Weasel tries to attack him, but not successfully, because Jaishankar said, well, it's evidence. What are you talking about? Where is your evidence? Zip it. So I'm glad he put this Weasel in his place, because he's the guy. If you find that one, when this Austrian, you can find it on YouTube, I think rude Austrian interviewer interviews Putin or something like this. My God, that was like, wow, disrespectful. I mean, you can ask tough questions, but be respectful. Don't have to be rude. Don't have to be jumpy. Don't have to interrupt. But it was just awful. Awful. I mean, irritating. I would have smacked that guy, just so you know. But hey, Putin was like, just in German, he said, just let me speak. And he said, for God's sake, he said, Anyway, thank you very much for being with me again today. You can keep that video in your little library whenever you need to have a little bit of intellectual masturbation, how an intellectual speaks, okay, with a Weasel. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.